This video is going to be on the transformation reflection. Now, before I start looking at some example questions, I'm going to quickly run through the basic principles of reflecting a shape in a mirror line. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to mark on each vertex or corner of my shape. What I'm going to do next is I'm going to count how far each corner is from my mirror line. And then I'm going to count on beyond the mirror line exactly the same amount. So as you can see, this red cross is 1, 2 away from my mirror line. I'm now going to count another 2 away again. 1, 2. So my new corner will be there. My blue cross is only 1 away. So I'm going to count another 1, and that's where my new corner will be. My green cross is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 away. So again, I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that's where my new corner is. Now that I've reflected all of my corners, I can just join these up with a straight line. Okay, you would use a ruler. Okay, and that's the first reflection done. Now I'm going to show you how to reflect a shape in a diagonal line. So again, the starting point is exactly the same. Okay, I'm going to mark on each corner. Now the difference between a diagonal line and a vertical or a horizontal line, like we had with the triangle, is instead of counting vertically or horizontally, up and down or left or right, I'm going to count diagonally. So let's start off with these 2 red corners. So I'm going to start off with this corner here. Now I can see that it is 1, 2 diagonals away from my mirror line. So I'm going to continue just like I did with the triangle, counting 2 diagonals away, okay, and I end up here. I'm going to do the same thing with the other red corner, and you can see I'm only 1 diagonal away. So my new point will be 1 diagonal away from my mirror line. Now I'm going to do exactly the same thing, only with my green corners. So starting with the one on the far left, I can see I am 1, 2, 3, 4 away. So continue counting. 1, 2, 3, 4. My new cross sits here. Okay, so the corner next to it is 1, 2, 3 and a half away. So I'm going to count again exactly the same amount. Firstly the half to get back onto the corners, and then 1, 2, 3. The one next to that is 1, 2 and a half away. So again, firstly I'll count the half, and then 1, 2. Lastly, the one on the far right is 1, 2 corners away. So again, I'll count 1, 2. Now you might find that you'll be able to draw the shape now, but I'm just going to do the blue one just to finish off, just so to make sure that I've got it all right. So the blue is 1, 2, 3, 4 diagonals away. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. So all I need to do now is join all of those points up with a straight line. So now I've connected my shape up with straight lines, you can see that I've reflected that arrow in the diagonal line. Notice that this arrow now is pointing to the right, so it's as if it's twisted around, and that's the result of reflecting diagonally. Okay, my first question that I'm going to look at is reflecting shapes in the different axes. So first off, I want to reflect the shape P in the y-axis. So the y-axis is the vertical up axis. Okay, I've just marked it with a Y there. A way of remembering this is the phrase Y's up. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing I did in the last exercise, only this time I'm going to use the mirror line of the y-axis. So I'm going to start off by labeling all of my corners or vertices. Okay, so you should be pretty good at this by now. You can see that the red cross, the red corner, is 2 away from my line, so I'm going to count another 2 and it should sit here. The green cross is 3 away, so again I'm going to count 3 away from my line and it will sit here. The blue one a little bit further away, so I'm just going to count it carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 away, so I've got to count another 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Sits there. And the purple one, okay, again it's quite far away, so I'm just going to count this up carefully. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so now that I've got all my corners, I'm just going to join them up with a straight line. Okay, so now I want to reflect the shape P in the x-axis. Okay, so the x-axis is the other one. Okay, it's the one that goes side to side. Okay, and a way of remembering that this is the x-axis is because x is a cross. And if you think about the letter x, it is actually a cross shape. Now then, we're going to do exactly the same thing that we did before. Okay, we're going to count to the line and away from the line. So if you do that, you'll see that the red cross, the red corner, is going to end up here. The green corner, okay, is a bit far away, so I'm just going to count it up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just to be careful. All right, the blue corner. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And finally, the purple corner is just 2 away, so again, I can do that by eye too. So all I need to do now is connect all of those corners up with a straight line. And now I've reflected the shape P in the x-axis. Okay, so in this question, we're going to look at reflecting shapes in lines other than the y-axis and the x-axis. As you can see, I've got a grid that is this time numbered, and also I've got my shape P, which I've already marked on all of the different vertices. The first question is asking me to reflect the shape P in the line x equals minus 2. So I need to find where this line x equals minus 2 is. Now, first off, I identify where minus 2 is on the x-axis, and that is here. Now all I need to do is draw a line through that. Now I've got two choices. I can either draw a line sideways, but that would be basically the x-axis again, so that wouldn't make sense. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a vertical line through this point minus 2. So you can see that vertical lines are given the name x equals and whatever number they pass through the x-axis. So now I'm just going to complete my reflection just like I have done before. So I'm going to count to my line, 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to count away from my line exactly the same, 1, 2, 3, and it sits here. Doing the same thing for all of the other points, you'll see that I get a triangle sitting about there. So joining those up with straight lines, I end up with my shape. Next, I want to reflect the shape P in the line y equals 1. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did last time. Firstly, I'm going to identify where 1 is, but this time on the y-axis. As you can see, 1 would sit here. So again, I'm going to draw a line through 1. Now again, I've got a choice. It can either be a sideways line or an up and down line. But as you can see here, an up and down line wouldn't make sense because that would be the y-axis. So I'm going to draw a sideways line through this point 1. And this is going to be the line y equals 1. So again, I'm going to do exactly the same thing that I did before. I'm going to count to my line, count away from my line, and I'll end up with points here, here, and finally, I would end up with a point down here. So joining those up with a straight line, I end up with my reflected shape in the line y equals 1. So finally, I'm asked to reflect the shape P in the line y equals x. Now, there's no way of working this out. This is just a line you've got to remember. And it is one that we've done before. It is the diagonal line. Okay, so we've identified that it's the diagonal line. Now, if you remember back to the very start of the video, we're going to do exactly the same thing we've done before, only we're going to count diagonally instead of up and down or left or right. So starting with this corner here, you can see that it is exactly on the line, which means that we don't need to move it at all. That would be reflected to exactly the same place. Okay, looking at the one on the corner here, that is 1 away, so we're going to count 1 away, and that will sit here. And this one up the top here is 1, 2 steps away. So again, I'm going to do 2 diagonals, 1, 2, and that's where that's going to sit. So all I need to do is just join those up with straight lines. And that's my shape reflected in the line y equals x. Okay, so that's how to draw reflections. Have a go at some practice questions. Okay, good luck.